South Korea, the Moon Jae-in administration is greatly invested in this peace process. Moon Jae-in was elected wanting to establish some kind of relations with North Korea. He'd been around when a previous administration here had embarked on what was called the Sunshine Policy, and so clearly wants to improve the situation here. That said, there are circles here in South Korea that are much more skeptical, and they include some of the tens of thousands of North Korean defectors who have fled to South Korea, some of them very active in efforts to try to help their countrymen back in North Korea, and are willing to circumvent restrictions by the North Korean government, trying to get aid to their countrymen in the North, even if that requires smuggling.
Twice a month, a small group of activists in South Korea travel as close as they can get to the demilitarized zone, hauling gifts for their neighbors in the north. Plastic water bottles full of rice, medicine, money, and information. They wait for the tide to change, and after asking God to help their poorer neighbors in the north, they send these packages of food and aid drifting toward North Korea. As you can see, this is a totally improvised smuggling operation, and these activists insist that these drifting care packages can do far more to bring down the North Korean regime than any military operation. Of course, these days, there is very little talk of attacking North Korea. Just weeks ago, South Korea's president met face-to-face with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un to talk about peace between two neighbors who are still technically at war. They issued a joint declaration vowing to cease all hostile acts against each other. The South Korean government has since dismantled speakers that blared propaganda into North Korea, and the government sent police to enforce a request that civic groups stop smuggling anti-North Korean propaganda leaflets by balloon across the DMZ. The balloon activists say they found a way to do it anyway. The informal effort to smuggle aid to the Hermit Kingdom takes many shapes and forms. U.S. missionary Tim Peters helped smuggle small packets of seeds for vegetables to a country where the United Nations says hundreds of thousands of children suffer from malnutrition.
Seeds actually is an extremely efficient and economic but very harmless way of sending food aid in.
Each activist group insists they're entirely funded by private donors. Each rice-filled bottle holds an additional single U.S. dollar bill that can buy more than 1 kilogram of rice for North Koreans. Also a message that says God loves you, a USB stick, and medicine to kill parasites. The USB sticks full of videos banned in North Korea. This group is led by several defectors who fled North Korea years ago. We're sending this out of love, this former North Korean army officer says. A message of hope, he calls it. A message in a bottle.
These North Korean defector activists who are so suspicious of the North Korean regime, they say they're not surprised by North Korea's sudden pulling out of high-level talks with South Korea and threatening to pull out of the summit with the U.S. in Singapore next month. They argue that North Korea is currently playing the South Korean government.